Hey, good evening.
Hey,
How are you?
I am well. How are you? How are you?
I'm well.
Good.
Beautiful day here in Maryland. How about you?
Um, it actually was not too bad today. I mean, because we've had a lot of rain and kind of the remnants of Ida. But it wasn't too bad today,
Yeah.
I would say.
So, welcome everyone. Welcome to our live tonight. Real Talk, Real Time with Chandra and Georgette is live in the Real Talk, Real Time Educators Forum.
No,
Hoping that you're joining us.
I don't know about you, but I really cannot believe it's September already. I'm just saying.
Listen, where did it go?
I do not know. I do not know. And I know we are not alone in this.
Yeah.
I don't know. The summer was just quick, fast, in a hurry, gone like a breeze. It's crazy. It's really crazy that we are at September and some folks have already, I mean, I know like you, have already been back to school, right?
That's
Yeah,
right.
it's wild.
Which is why I like you and I doing this because we're not running on the same track all the time, and so it allows for great conversation as we journey together with these educators. We know we have people from the United States and abroad, and we're excited about that. And so I'm sure they're feeling it just like we're feeling it, Chandra.
It's funny to watch, on social media, all the folks who have already gone back to school and are going, I'm so tired. I
Yeah.
can't believe, you're seeing all of that. And then those of us who are gearing up are like, is summer really gone? I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I need a do over. So,
Yes. And so it's no surprise that we're starting with this screen because our reality, regardless of whether we're already starting or not, it seems like this weekend is a marker that if you are already on the team that's on the field, you're excited about this weekend. And for those like you who are not yet on the field ready to play, you're gearing up, but you're also kind of like, it's over.
it is.
Yeah.
But we're all
But
in this together. We've
we
been
are.
here before.
Yes. And I mean, even something, tonight is all about us talking about what matters most, right? And I feel like having summer matters,
Mhm.
regardless of when we lose it. It's exciting to know that we have that opportunity, whether we're administrators, school counselors, um, the staff, the support staff in the building at all levels, teachers, that we have and take advantage of those summer months to enjoy, refuel, and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. And I do hope that we will drag some of our that summerness into the fall, right? So the idea of resting and relaxing and um, not grinding, just grinding as hard, right? Like let's try and do this school year a little bit differently than that
Yeah.
constant grind, right? There's something about slowing down that's really, really, really important, and pacing ourselves, right? I think we try and do that over the summer. We're going to absorb and enjoy every single minute of this summer, right? Like you're just pacing
Yeah.
yourself and what you're doing and doing exactly that same thing as you roll into the fall. Like pace yourself as you gear up, be mindful of, the journey that you're on, and like take your time
Mhm.
and take your time. Just,
Yeah.
you know,
Because the other thing that's for sure, the seasons do come back. Like
Mhm.
summer will come again. Yeah, it will.
Very true. True. Very true.
Very true.
Yes.
So we're hoping that the folks that are with us will invite others to join in our conversation. Those of you that are in the forum, please invite your friends, let other colleagues know, get in that group and say, come on, y'all, let's join Chandra and Georgette for, this evening where we're here to kind of talk about, not just kind of, but seriously to talk about what matters most.
Absolutely.
Um, and so I'm excited.
Always excited. We
Mhm,
have great
mhm.
conversations.
Yeah.
And drop in the comments and let us know, as we go on this evening, what matters most to you. What are you thinking about? What's in your heart? What's on your minds as we move forward?
Mhm, mhm, mhm. So I know we've had, we always like to kind of welcome everybody who's here and let everybody know that, they're important to us. And so we're going to start a little differently. Let's start with those first year teachers who are for the very first time not only teaching in a school face to face, but teaching, period. We give you the utmost credit for committing to a very important and very challenging career, and we welcome you tonight.
Absolutely. And might I add, um, onto our first year teachers, our second year teachers, because, right? This year is going to be their first year fully
Mhm.
in person, right?
That's
So
right.
it's kind of like an interesting do over, or like part two, for them. And first of all, thank you for hanging in there.
Yeah.
No, your first year, woo, was a first year. No question about
Mhm.
that, right? So thank you for hanging in there for our kids, for our families, and welcome back. And know that it is okay to feel like a first year teacher all over again, because this is your first time doing this, right? So you're not alone.
Yeah.
And no, you're not crazy. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a whole different experience. It's year one for you in lots of different ways, and it's okay to feel that way,
Yeah.
and reach out for help when you need it.
And there are folks like me who went to a new school last year. And so this is my first opening, real opening. So while I've been an educator for over 20 something years, there's things about, I'm reading the procedures and the manuals just like a new teacher because it is the first time for me. So hang in there, all of you who have transitioned last year and are now experiencing some things about that school system that are new even for you this year.
And let's also remember, G, given where we are in the pandemic, that all of us, regardless of whether we are new to the school or not,
Mhm,
have lots of newness, right? Like I
mhm,
know in our district, we have all sorts of regulations, right? That
mhm.
around COVID and expectations and vaccines and testing, and that, I'm sure will change over time and evolve, but that, are new to
Yeah,
us, are
yeah,
going to be new to families
that's
and to
right.
kids, right? So yeah, like there's a lot of newness. So in some ways, this is a new journey for all of us in education.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So it's important for all of those people that help to lead the way in this endeavor to remember that there's newness for so many of us. And I'm thinking about our administrators as they're leading, guiding, putting forth the initiatives that are coming from the district and the school systems. May they just remember that there's newness all around. So even sometimes when you're in those meetings, even if an experienced teacher asks you a question that you presume they should remember from the year prior, just remember a lot went on last year. And, we all know your memory can lapse on some things that seem so simple, even just last year. So let's just work with one another. And we applaud you, we support you, we encourage you, we lift you up. And we know this journey has been hard for you too. And so, even though when we're talking about teacher self care and teacher empowerment, we're really saying that even on your behalf, that if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not building up yourself and building up your team that you have, then we can't do what we know we're all charged to do, is to teach and support students and children.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
kudos to our administrators who are in the house. So we invite folks to contribute to the conversation. I don't see any conversation on my side. Do you see anything, Chandra? I think it's just my view that I have.
Nope, not yet.
Okay, but I know you got it on that side and I have it on this side. So if I can, let's kind of talk about something that's really important to both of us. I think this is, whew, you want to know what matters? Grace matters.
Mhm. Mhm. And
Yeah.
I'm forever reminded about something that you said way back when this pandemic started.
I know
I
what
don't
you're gonna
know,
say.
you know what I'm saying? I don't know about y'all, but this is my first pandemic.
It's my first.
It's my first. It
Mhm.
continues to be
That's right.
our
Mhm.
first,
Mhm.
right? Like we're in phase, I don't even know what phase this is, right?
Mhm.
At
Mhm.
this point in
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
And so,
Mhm.
as we embark on this new school year, allow yourself some grace. Like there's a lot going on. And let's just step back and not just in education, in the world.
In the
There's a
world.
lot going on right now. There
Yes.
really, really is. There is a heaviness, right,
Mhm.
that people are feeling. And there's some anxiousness about
Mhm.
the world around us, about what education is going to look like, about what classrooms are going to look like. And, for those of us who are, educated parents, we're concerned about our own kids,
That's
our
right.
kids in school, right? Like, so there's
Yeah.
a lot going on. So we have
Mhm.
to remember that some folks are kind of on edge,
Mhm.
and so allow yourself some grace to know that, like, it's okay if you don't have it all together,
That's right.
right? Like,
Yep.
it's okay if you're not on your A game all the time. And look to your left and look to your right and allow them the exact same grace. Let's assume best intentions, as we move forward.
I love that. Best intentions because sometimes whether we're leaders or teacher leaders or leaders of students who are in a club, we sometimes make assumptions. I'll give you an example. Kid at their locker with the phone out, and I kind of looked at the phone and I said, "Hey, you okay?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I put my combination. I took a picture of my combination." So there's a young person who was being responsible, you know, that was his strategy. Now we know there's policies, but just having grace instead of saying, "Young man, take that, put that," I was like, "Hey, how are you?" Because I didn't know.
Mhm,
Maybe he was thinking he had to text someone or call
mhm,
someone, and just I was so happy that I just took the minute to ask the question because it's the first week of school. You don't want to start with all the rules and all the fussing and all the presumptions about the kid who you remembered last year, the kid you remembered 2 years ago. His little brother went here and his cousin. No, let's give them grace.
mhm,
Let's give our colleagues grace. The same ones who didn't say good morning 2 years ago, maybe they're still not saying good morning. Give them grace. The
mhm,
administrator that hasn't recognized your excellent work, it's okay. Give them grace. And then give yourself grace. Grace to move on, grace to persevere, grace to just, what do they say? Take the L. When we were younger, they say, that just came to my mind. Take the L. It's okay. It's all right.
mhm,
Give yourself
mhm,
grace. Like it's okay if you didn't have your your sub plans in on the first day, and they're not even due. I had to tell someone that the other day. She was like, "But I gotta get my sub." I said, "They're due September 1st. It's the 30th. You still have time."
mhm.
You know, and if we don't give ourselves grace, we can make ourselves crazy. So let's do that.
Please,
Hmm.
please, let's do that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, I think here's another one, Chandra.
Hmm. It's
Know
the thing.
your audience.
Know your audience. Like, it's just take the time to learn who is around you, right? Who
Mhm,
your coworkers are,
mhm.
who your kids and families are, right? Like,
Yes.
and remember that we are all people experiencing this thing that we call education together. Building relationships is important. Like,
Mhm,
it's important to know who you work with. That's
mhm.
important. It's important to know who does what. So there's a part of the building relationships that's just, let's get to know each other as people, right? Like as human beings in the world. Good morning. How are you? What's going on?
Yes.
Noticing a coworker that looks a little down, or a kid that looks a little
Mhm,
down or a little off, and asking the question, right? You all right? How you
mhm.
doing? You need a minute? How can I
Yes.
help? Those sorts of things. Just remember that we're people. First and foremost, we are all people, and let's
Mhm.
relate to one another as human beings in this shared space, you know?
And I like that you're not even talking just about the children, because when we as educators, we're often told this is all for the children. But if we don't feed the adults, if we don't support the adults, if we don't see ourselves as co laborers with the adults,
Mhm,
then the children won't really get our very best. So
mhm,
it's important for us to remember, like you said, that colleague that's coming and not looking their norm and just kind of giving them words of encouragement, just saying good
mhm,
morning, just offering them, hey, I saw your copies on the printer. I picked them up and thought I'd just drop them off. Little things like that make a difference. That family, that student, that you just don't even know the impact that you could have. I overheard a young man telling a teacher what his older siblings said about that teacher. The teacher, chuckled and laughed, but most of the time you're not sure of what the story's gonna be, right? So he was saying, "Oh, your older brother had me, huh? Yeah, he told me story." You might be a little nervous, but that student made his day. And the same could happen on the reverse. We, the teachers, could say, I had your older brother or
mhm,
sister, and it was a joy having him in my class. Or, how's he doing? Even if he wasn't a joy, y'all, you could say, how's he doing? Well, please tell him I asked about him.
mhm,
I always thought he was a good kid with a good heart. He might be surprised. That might inspire and encourage a whole new
mhm,
generation of our former students. So, our colleagues, our students, our friends. What matters most is that we, the educators, we know our audience, we know our colleagues, and we know our students and
mhm.
their families. It's really, really important.
Absolutely. And, I also want to add for us to be really mindful of those who might look and or feel invisible, right?
Mhm,
Like, I'm just thinking, you roll up to school, your mind is wherever your mind is, on your lesson, whatever the case may be, you're running
mhm,
late, you're running in there, right? And you
mhm.
zoom past the custodian. You don't say a word,
Not a word.
right? And he's been there, she's been there, they've been there hour, 2 hours ahead, right?
Mhm,
Trying to make sure everything is okay for everyone. You don't say
mhm.
we charge right past,
That's right.
right? You zoom right past the front office, right? Past the
Mhm,
secretary, past whomever in the office.
that's
You're
right.
going past fellow educators,
Mhm.
your paras, your instructional, aides, whomever in the building, and you're just
Yep.
going past, right?
Mhm.
Folks are not invisible,
That's right.
right? And oftentimes, a lot of these support staff feel invisible.
Mhm.
Let's really work on not encouraging that culture, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
first of all, it's not good.
No.
Second, third, and fourth, the children are watching.
Mhm,
The
mhm,
children are watching. They are
mhm,
watching how we interact with one another,
mhm,
who we speak to, who we don't speak to,
mhm.
how we speak to some people
That's
versus
right.
how we speak to other folks.
Mhm.
Like we got to be really, really, really mindful of that, and conscious of it. It's important. It's really, really important. Again, I'm going back to that humanness
That's
that
right.
connects all of us.
Mhm.
Don't get so busy in your busy
That's right.
that you forget that there are human beings that are helping you do what you need to do every single day.
Or even getting so high and mighty that you
Mm,
think you are above speaking to children, saying good
mm,
morning, that you think you're above speaking to the support staff, whether it be the cafeteria, the office,
yes,
those that help to keep our facilities warm and cooled. Like we're always just talking about cleaning, right? But
that's
they
right.
make sure it's warm when we come in the mornings on a cold winter morning. Like we got to do better.
Hmm.
We have to realize that those people matter. They matter more than we think. Well, they matter more than we give them credit for.
That's right.
And so again, when we take care of them by being good, they have already been taking care of us. So we can show our appreciation for that.
Yeah. Just say Good morning and thank you.
Yes, that won't hurt.
Good
It
morning
won't
and thank
hurt.
you. They would probably look at you like you got three heads because it doesn't happen all that often,
No.
but it's
And
important.
it's important. And it's also important that you remember that, you find your tribe.
Mhm.
Um, we try to create in Real Talk, Real Time Educators Forum a tribe of educators that are like-minded. You put out your posts, your wellness posts on the wellness on Wednesdays. Chandra does a wellness video for us. And the beauty of that is that she reminded us about making those doctor's appointments. And I saw people responding, saw that, got that. Thanks for the reminder. That's what a good tribe does.
Mhm.
They're willing to go ahead and step out on behalf of the group and say something. And then we, the tribe members, were like, "Ooh, thank you. Yeah, thanks for that reminder." And that tribe is the virtual tribe that we're creating on Real Talk, Real Time Educators Forum. But there's that tribe at your school. That's that tribe within your school system. I have a group of sister girls that range from top level officials to secretaries, supports, not support staff, instructional assistants, teachers, we're all gamut. And we support each other every morning. It's not about titles and salaries and all that. Those ladies are a part of my tribe. And I love them for those quotes, those messages. And you have to find yours if you don't have one.
Mhm. And I want to encourage those of us who have found tribes, right? Because maybe we've been in this educational space for a while,
Mhm,
to reach back to those folks who were new to your building, right? Those staff
mhm.
folks who were new. You know what it feels like to be new. We all know what it feels like to be new, right?
Yes.
Like just it doesn't take much to reach out a hand, a kind word, check in on them, right? They may be
Mhm.
so completely overwhelmed or busy, they might not, they don't even know who to. The reality is they don't even know who to reach out to, right?
Yes.
I'm just thinking. It sounds so ridiculous, but some folk don't even know where the restrooms are,
That's right.
right? Like, and
Mhm,
that's a big deal when you need to
mhm,
go to the restroom. Or
mhm,
how do you get supplies? Or what is the,
mhm.
what is the procedure for this? Just,
Mhm,
befriend a new staff person in the
mhm,
building, reach out, reach back, you know, let them know that there is a tribe that's there to
mhm.
support
Yeah. And I like that you said reach out, reach back, because it's not something that's going to cost you.
them.
It's no money exchange. It's just goodness. It's just remembering. It's taking time out of your day to provide someone else with something you may not even know how much they need. And it's good. It just feels good when you could even do that. So keep that in mind and consider it in finding your tribe. We all need those
Mhm.
tribes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Please be yourself. You know, I mean, it's hard sometimes. Especially I feel like we've never really talked about those learning environments that are pressure cookers,
Hmm.
where the expectation is that everyone is excellent. Those high performing schools where everyone, it appears to those who either work there or not, or those other folks, that everyone's got their classroom management down. Everyone has the best scores in the district. Everyone. And that's not necessarily the case. But whether you're in that high performing stress kind of environment or the lowest performing stress environment, because that's a whole nother kind of stress
That's right.
where you feel like no one cares and no one thinks that you're worth anything. They just question and they criticize and or at least that's what it feels like. Because let's be honest, school administrators' jobs are to see growth. We cannot pretend that's not the case. If you are in an environment where growth is not being witnessed, there will be different pressure. Right, Chandra?
That's
That's
right.
just what it is. So if that's your experience in your environment, you have to be prepared that the expectations are different than maybe your old school. But wherever you are, you have to be your best self. You have to live on those morals that you find to be really important. You have to love yourself. You have to love others. And if that's hard for you, then try to find someone that you can model after. And why am I saying that? Because sometimes people have been hurt and harmed, whether it be in work environments or other environments, and they're not really sure of how to do that. But you can find someone that you admire and you want to model after. So while I'm not saying to not be who you are, you
Mhm.
can look for a good mentor that you can pick up tips from to be your best self.
Mhm. Mhm. And I think mentorship is important. I mean, we often think about it for new teachers, but I think
Hmm.
it's important at every stage of
Yes,
our career, right? Like,
absolutely.
whether you are 2 years in, 5 years in, 20 years in, right? Just it's
Hmm.
important that there are people that you can talk to about your own growth and development.
That's
I mean,
right.
we are forever learners as teachers, or we're supposed to be, right?
Hmm.
And you get to choose what that path is, but you don't have to go it alone, right?
That's
Like,
right.
find the people that you admire, talk to
Mhm.
them about next steps, talk to them about classes, talk to them about projects, talk to them about an idea you have for, I don't know, a club at the school, or
Mhm.
staff development, or whatever the case may be, right?
Mhm.
Um, and so I think it's important that people remember that mentorship and the growth and development doesn't stop,
No, no,
after your first few years. It continues.
absolutely not.
It
It
can,
continues.
or
And I
it
think
should.
I would say, and I know you're not going to dispute me, but you and I mentor each other. We have hard conversations offline about, okay, this is Chandra, y'all. Okay, so what are you going to do about it, G? You know? And I don't see it as an insult when my sister, my friend, my colleague says, as we say, from up 95, she's saying to me, what are you going to do about that? Because you want people in your circle, you want those tribe members to also
Mhm.
challenge you, to nurture you, to encourage you, and to support you. And so sometimes that support comes from what feels like bullying. Chandra likes to talk about bullying. Georgia made me do
I
that.
ain't say nothing. I ain't say a word.
But in that, we have enough of a rapport with each other. Even though we've been in the game a long time, both higher ed and K-12, we both have been, that we know it comes from a place of love and support. So as you're, being your best self, you want to surround yourself with people that want you to be your best self. You don't
Absolutely.
want to be with people that want to judge, want to belittle, undermine. I remember in one of our Real Talks, Real Time, we had a teacher sharing about how she would always share her resources with the other teachers, and the other teachers weren't really sharing. And some of the other participants was like, "Wait a minute, you giving all your stuff?" And so, even in that time, in that space that we had created, they said, no, it's okay. You don't have to share your resources. Ask them to share and see what changes. That was a sense of empowerment for her because she felt like, well, I always shared, so I just keep sharing, but never even expected the others to give to her. So I might have felt like I digressed, but I feel like it goes back into the point of finding the people that will support you and being aware that what you need exists from mentors, colleagues, friends, family, even those who started working the same year you did. I always think about those as like you know, uh, your people, that you always will have in your corner when you all start the same year at a school or a district.
Mhm. And I was talking to a teacher this week, and it made me really thinking about taking initiative, right?
Hmm.
Because schools are really busy places,
Hmm.
and I think oftentimes, sometimes, it's really easy to assume that folks don't want to help, or it feels that way,
Ooh,
right? Right?
yes,
If someone isn't necessarily reaching out to you or asking, "Are you okay?" all the
yes,
time, right? So yeah, we
Yes.
want to encourage people to ask people if they need help, but we all get really busy. So I
Yeah.
want to encourage people to take some initiative.
I
You
love it.
know, I was on the phone with this teacher, and she was asking all these questions.
Mhm.
And my response, so did you ask your school leader?
Mhm.
So did you ask your grade level team? So did you
Mhm.
ask? So did you,
Mhm.
right? And
Yes.
her response was no, she hadn't. And part of it was
Mhm.
she was new to the environment and was a little hesitant. And I totally got that.
Mhm.
And so we worked through. So how do you deal with this kind of difficult conversation?
Yeah.
But you have to ask. Part of empowerment, right, is
Yeah.
taking the initiative and saying what you don't know, taking the initiative to figure out what you need to know, and not assuming that anybody is there to spoon feed you necessarily or to read your mind. You got to figure out what you need and then figure out who you need to go to get what you need.
That's right.
That's your responsibility as a
Mhm.
human being in the world,
That's
right?
right.
And as an educator, it really is your responsibility. If you don't know, ask.
That's right.
Don't just sit back
Mm-mm.
and assume,
Mhm.
because we all know what happens when you sit back and assume,
Yes.
right?
But Chandra, let's pause for a minute. Those
Mm,
of you that are here with us, I want you to answer the question. Do you know what you need?
mm,
Do you know what you need? Because often, a lot of times even administrators will end meetings and say, "Let us know what you need," right? Do you know what you need?
mm,
And then you have administrators offering. No one's answering, no one's saying, I need an air purifier in my room. I need the opportunity to be able to um, model something to the staff for my grad class. I
mm,
need, like, it's okay to pause, think about what you need. If anything, it's vital that you think about what you need. Again, because if you're not getting what you need,
mhm,
then you can't really provide as much as your best self to those students that
mhm,
you have, to your colleagues. If I need, I can't even think of something. I mean, I really like this graphic because it's giving us lots of things that people might need.
mhm,
It could be you need to heal a colleague to colleague relationship from the past. Maybe you're still holding a grudge. Maybe you're still wondering why you got a poor evaluation. Maybe you need uh, to build a relationship with your team leader. Maybe you just need someone to listen. But you got to know first what you need.
yeah. And sometimes I admit that it's hard to figure out what you need, right?
Hmm.
And so sometimes that just means having a conversation with yourself and then
Yes.
maybe having a conversation with a colleague, right? So,
Hmm.
G and I, you and I do this all the time, right? Like
Hmm.
I might not necessarily have the answer, but I had a whole lot of questions in my head to try and
Yeah.
figure something out and
Yeah.
talking it through with you, right? So
Hmm.
talking it through with someone else can
Hmm.
help you figure out what your next step is. So you
Yes.
don't necessarily have to know, but I feel
Hmm.
like you need to take the responsibility to try and figure it out. And if you can't
Yes.
do it by yourself, that's where your tribe comes in.
Mhm,
Figure out that person that you can talk to and go, so here's what I'm thinking. Like,
mhm.
I don't even know where to begin, but here's what I'm thinking. Here's what
Yes.
I'm wondering,
Mhm.
right? Let that person be your mirror. Let that person, dig a little deeper for you. And you would be surprised how you were able to come out on the other side with,
Mhm.
yeah, that's what my next step needs to be. Or, yeah, that's what I think that I need. Or this is who I need to tap into.
Yes.
Don't just hold on to your, you know, uncertainties or hold on to your
Mhm.
unknowings, right? Like you want to dig through that because again, this is about your own empowerment, right?
Mhm.
Like it's up to you to figure out what you need, even when you don't know what that is.
Yes. And you might even need to realize what's not feeling right.
Mm-hmm.
It's kinda like when people say, "Oh, I got this pain in my shoulder." That doesn't feel right. And so
Mm-hmm.
you respond by going to, urgent care or going to the doctor. That needs to be the case also in terms of how you feel about yourself, your worth, your work, your place in the world. You have to
Mhm.
figure out what, because these things all mesh together.
That's
Okay,
right.
they all mesh. So if I'm not feeling good about myself as a person, it is going to impact my work. It the kids, I think the kids spot these kind of things a lot quicker than adults even. When kids will say, like, she's crazy. You don't want them saying that, but there's something inside of all of us that's innate that we sense from people. So when kids, while we wouldn't tell them that that's nice to say, we've heard them say that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Miss
Mhm.
So and so, they always gotta go crazy when we come in the, well, they're getting this from something, whether it's intentional, what you're giving off, or it could just be the place that you're in. It doesn't mean you're really that person. It could
Mhm.
just be the place that you're in. So, Chandra and I truly believe in counseling.
Mhm.
We believe in therapy. We believe in seeking help from professionals if that's something that you need. And if you're not sure, your insurance, your school system likely has some resources available to you, and we encourage you to take advantage of that. Please don't settle in silence, whether it be emotional or work related.
Mhm.
You matter to us, and that's why we're being bold in saying this, because we've all known colleagues in a place that's kind of like they're not really sure, they're not really feeling good, and we want you to know it's okay. It happens, but you got to look for support, resources, and identify what you need so you can be in the place that you are at your best.
Absolutely. And you want to do that before you hit the wall, right? So
Mm,
you want to pay attention to what's going on, before you hit the physical wall, maybe you're exhausted, you're tired, you're burnt out, right? Or you
mhm.
hit the emotional wall and, you're in your bed or in the corner bawling and crying and whatever
That's
the
right.
case may be. You hit the
Mhm,
work wall where you're just completely overwhelmed,
mhm,
with whatever it is, lesson planning and grading, and you are
mhm.
so far, under the water that you can't even imagine how you're going to get up the next day, right? And make it
Exactly.
through the next lesson um, at all. And then you're completely disorganized and disheveled and, just completely off. You want to make sure that you're getting what you need and paying attention to yourself and
Mhm,
what's going on along the way so that you can actually, have your own intervention and reach out and get what you need before you hit the wall, before you fall apart, before, right? Like you don't need to wait until you are exhausted and tired to step back,
mhm.
right? You don't want to do that.
No.
You want to take a nap.
Yes.
you
You
know.
know, and Chandra, this goes back to the point where I always would say in Real Talk Real Time, we have negotiated leave.
Mhm.
It is built into the contract. Now, whether you get 5 days a year, 10 days, 6 days, 3 days personal, 5 days, funeral leave, 7 days, it doesn't matter what school system, district, independent, public, private, it doesn't matter. You have leave embedded in your professional contract, in your negotiated contract. And so use that to take care of yourself, whether it's your doctor's appointments, whether it's that staycation where you restore yourself. You might feel like, and it's a phrase I use with Chandra, you don't want to be tick, tick, boom. If
Mm,
you feel that, if you're going to, if you feel like you are just, it's just too much, you might need to take a day. It will be for your good and for the good of the children and the students and those that you work with. You should do it. But also, if you find this too often, that's something you should pay attention to and address. But you do need to understand you have opportunities. As I tell people, in the United States, there aren't borders where you can't even just go to the very next state. I could go to Virginia and have a great time. It's still called a vacation if I leave my home state. So please take advantage. Don't feel and I put this on Instagram. Summer is a season. It doesn't end the opportunities for you to travel, visit friends, go to nice restaurants, enjoy sunsets, go for walks and bike rides, go and pick up good books. Those things are still available to you.
that's right.
So please do it.
That's right. That is, that is the work life integration that I like to talk about, right? I
Mhm.
mean, often people talk about this balance. I don't believe in it. I don't
Yeah.
think it exists.
Mhm.
But I do believe in integration, right? So I believe that you can still go to that coffee shop and get that great cup of coffee, even though
Mhm.
you're back working full time in the classroom. I believe
Yes.
you can read that book, right? I believe you can and you need to continue to do those things that fill your spirit, that make you laugh, that make you
Hey.
smile, you know, that make you stop and pause, allow
Yes.
you to breathe.
Mhm.
Like you have to. And I think all too often we hit the
Yes.
wall, and then we want to do those things, right? And that's why we
Mhm.
don't experience balance, because we leave all of the wonderful things that feed us until we are just completely starving. We are so freaking
Yes.
hungry at that point.
Mhm.
You don't want to get to the point where your tank is completely empty.
No.
You want to be filling it on a regular basis, right? You want to
Mhm.
fill on a regular basis. It's just like a car in the
Yes.
wintertime when it's real cold. What you don't want to do is have that car on empty. You don't want
Mm-mm.
that to happen, right?
No.
You
No.
want to make sure that you are giving the car gasoline along the way. Give yourself gasoline along the way. Feed yourself.
Mhm.
Don't wait until the next break. Don't
Yes.
do it.
Don't
Don't
do
even
it.
wait until the weekend. Find ways throughout the week to integrate those things that bring you joy.
And that's you kind of bringing up the topic of our Follow Your Passion series. We are going to be looking for colleagues, educators that have personal passions that they go after. We have some that we know are, whether it be traveling the world or selling their artistry, musicians, all kinds of people, authors that we know are out there that are among our Real Talk Real Time community, and even those of you that have friends and colleagues that are doing the same. We truly believe that following your passions is critical to your work life because it helps with that balance that, it's not really a balance, but it helps with that integration that Chandra's talking about. When I'm able to come home and maybe crochet for 30 minutes, that's just something that I might want to do in the evening. That might be enough to settle me that I can then go and finish up something that I need to finish for work. But there are some of you, I tell you, I'm not going to even put myself in the position in the category of these people that I'm talking about that are following their passions. My little crochet is on the side. But some of you have created opportunities for yourself that bring you pure joy. And that joy, it probably helps to keep you alive on those days where you have to work your grade papers, but you seem to be balancing it. And we just want to really encourage our colleagues to do the same and not let those passions die. We want you to remember them. Um, Develop new ones, learn new skills. And so hopefully some of you will be interested in our project. We're going to be doing some interviews and we're going to be sharing them because we just really believe that following your passion is really important. And it shouldn't just wait for the summer. We just talked about this, but something that you balance. You have to, I was listening to a young man on the Olympics. He had a job and he quit his job to go try out for the Olympic team and he made it. And I was just so inspired by that. I am not here trying to encourage teachers to quit their jobs because we need y'all, but I am encouraging you that if you feel you should quit your job to fully pursue your passion, that's on you. But I am inspired. We have a Real Talk Real Time member that is a dancer, really passionate about that, and opening a studio really soon while still being a teacher. Like, that's the stuff we're talking about. Oh, I'm just too excited. Go ahead, Chandra. I just can go on and
Yeah.
on.
I mean, it's following your passion, it's bringing joy to yourself, and it's bringing joy to the world,
That's right.
right? Like we all have all sorts of gifts and talents, and
Mhm,
many of us have not tapped into them.
mhm,
And we want to encourage you to do just that. Tap
mhm,
into your talents. And if you don't know what your talents are, take some time this year to figure some things out. Dabble in some stuff that you're interested in,
mhm.
right? Take that class. Watch that YouTube video. Lord knows you can find everything that you need to know on YouTube. So when YouTube and
Yes,
Google, you'll be covered.
everything.
Yeah, like I'm going to encourage you to do that. We encourage that in our own children. We encourage that in our students. That shouldn't stop,
No,
right? When you become an adult, when you become an educator, and your
no.
entire life becomes about teaching.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Listen, I,
Mm-hmm.
I feel you. Teaching is important. Don't get me wrong, but that is not the totality of who you are.
No.
It is not. And if it
Mm-hmm.
has become, and trust and believe, we have all been there, the
Mm-hmm.
totality of who you are, I want to encourage you to step back and say, that's probably not terribly healthy. There are
Mm-hmm.
all different other parts of you
That's
that
right.
need to be explored. And I want to encourage you this year to explore. So I'm excited about this because we're going to have, educators who are going to share their own passions, and maybe it will spark another educator to try
Mm-hmm.
something new, try something on, or say, yeah, I used to really like doing that.
Yep.
Let me try and do that again.
Yeah. 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 Why not? I mean, you have nothing to lose. And my favorite saying, Chandra, and I'm getting ready to say, you get to choose. You
That's
get
right.
to choose what that is. If you feel I have no passion, I'm good. My passion is being a teacher. That's true. There are some of you that this gig is not just a gig, it is your life's work. It is your life's work in the ways that you help children in areas that are impoverished, in areas that are lacking clean water and school supplies, and you're out there trying to help close the gap. There's just some of you that this work is your passion. Maybe you don't even realize it. Maybe you just think that you're irritated by all of the injustice that's going on in your district. But maybe it's really just a passionate place for you. And that's why you're fighting and trying to work towards progress in your area. I applaud you. Some of you are working in I don't want to say correctional facilities. What's the proper word for schools in correctional facilities? Schools in correctional facilities?
That's a really good question.
I'm not really sure. But some of
Mhm.
you, that's what you've been doing. You've been teaching at what they used to call alternative schools for years, and you are working in with the population of people that are changing the world through their gifts and their talents. They are brilliant, and you are investing your time and your attention to them, and you've done it for 10, 15 years. And people might say, "Oh, you teach there?" No, we say thank you, because those audiences are just as important as the students that are at a prep school or at a suburban school or at an urban school. Every one of us that is an educator is critical to making our country, our neighborhoods, our worlds a better place. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
And I want to say, oh, first of all, hey Angela, we see you there. Shout out, sis. Um, I just want to remind people that educators are people too.
That's right.
We say this about kids and we talk about the well rounded student. Well,
Mhm.
as educators, we need to be well rounded people. So
That's
I
right.
get the passion for teaching. I do. Trust and
Hmm.
believe.
Yeah, yeah.
I just want to make sure that, we're remembering that we have all sorts of parts of us that many of us, have pushed aside, pushed down. We'll do that later. It'll wait to the weekend. It'll wait until the next break.
No.
It'll wait until winter break. You know what? Spring break is coming. It'll wait until the summer. And the
Yeah.
cycle goes,
Over and
goes,
over
and
and
goes.
over.
And the years go by and you haven't done and you haven't tapped into, right? And you've
Mhm.
just moved on. You're so busy being busy, right?
Mhm.
You just
Mhm.
moved on. You're kind of in the grind, as we talk
Yes.
about,
Yes.
and you've left parts of yourself behind.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, many of your colleagues, and we are guilty of this, will look and be like, man, they're an amazing teacher. They have dedicated their entire life and they are here all the time. They
Yep.
go to their kids' houses. They're always doing this. They're out in the community. Yeah, But what about them?
That's right.
But what about you?
Hmm.
You matter. Figure out the things that matter to you. And more things than one can matter at the same time. You
Yes.
can be completely dedicated to education and to teaching and have other things that you are interested in and pursuing.
Yes,
Don't,
ma'am.
don't, don't be in denial about that. It's okay. And you know what else? Come in close, y'all. Don't feel guilty about that either. I'm just saying.
Yes,
Don't feel guilty
Chandra.
about it.
No.
You have the right to live your entire life
Hmm.
and a full life full of all of the parts of you and all of the things that you love, desire, and are interested in at the
Hmm.
same time.
Yes. Yes. You're right.
That's right. So don't look at those folks side eye when they leave it on time and
That's right.
they're not staying there 2 and 3 hours after. Don't give them the side eye. Don't do that. Don't do that.
You don't
Mm-mm.
even know what it takes to do what they need to do in their lives. You don't know
Mm-mm.
what it takes to keep their classroom running. You don't know what it takes to keep their family running. You don't know what that job even might mean to them. It might just be the last thing that they're doing to hold on, to keep their sanity because children bring them joy. So let's not make those assumptions about, you know, people leaving early, people getting their purse, people slipping. Let's not do that. If anything else, what matters most is to know that we all get to choose. And what matters most is that we're all following the path that has been set before us. I have no idea what path's been set before Chandra. Well, I kind of do, but anyway, uh, but whatever your path is, you have to follow it.
Mhm.
And whatever my path is, I have to follow it. But I'm hoping that you will feel like I'm encouraging you on your path. And I'm hoping that you would encourage the other person on their path. That's really
Absolutely.
important. That matters. That matters. You know, you're gonna
Absolutely.
that person that is opening that dance studio, and I hope she's hearing me. People are gonna be like, "Oh, how you gonna balance all that? Really? Where do you get the money? You're only a teacher. I can't believe. Really? How are you gonna make?" Hey, hey, hey!
Mm-hmm.
You get to choose, but in the choosing, there's a responsibility. It's like I say to Chandra, if I choose to speak disrespectfully to a student, call them out of their name, I'm choosing to go to the office to speak to the principal because that's not acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be able to stand on what your decisions you're making, whether that be with the students, with your colleagues, with your supervisors. You have to be able to what's the word I'm looking for? Take ownership
Mm-hmm.
on the decisions that you're making. But you do get to choose. You get to choose if you're going in that teacher's lounge and they're complaining all the time, or you're going to eat by yourself. You get to choose if you're gonna stay up and watch a movie late and know you got to be on the road by 6:30 in the morning. You're gonna be yawning, or you better cook, make yourself a cup of coffee. Like we all get to choose. Do it for yourself.
You know what else you get to choose? You get to choose whether you decide to sit and eat through your lunch or to have
Mm,
a quiet lunch or to take a walk,
hey,
do nothing.
mhm.
You get to choose.
You know, since the pandemic, that's what I've been choosing. So Chandra's still working remotely, and I'm in the building. But being in the building, my new thing that I do, when I walk around, I'm making sure I walk so I could get outside. So if I have to go to the office, I go out the doors and I go because I find that it's kind of like nice to get a little sun. My office
Mhm.
has no kind of light source or anything. And that's something I'm doing for myself. I'm not avoiding work. If I have to go to the bathroom, that's the way I'm going. I'm going
Mm.
outside. And there's two ways I could go and get some sun. And those few minutes a day help. It could be something as simple as that. I'm cutting through
Mhm.
the courtyard instead of going, through the hallways. Something as simple as that is bringing me joy. So figure that out for yourself.
Yes, I love that. I love
Mhm.
that. Figure it
Yeah.
out and do something good for yourself every day. And sometimes it's just cutting through the courtyard.
Hey, cut through the courtyard.
That's the title of
Yeah,
a book. Write that down.
it is. It is. It's so simple. And, I remember years ago at lunch, we would eat quick and we would walk around the school building. I mean, it could be something like that. And
Mhm.
we would start out with 8 people, and sometimes you'd walk by yourself, sometimes you'd be in a pair of three, not a pair, you know what I'm saying, in the small group of three, but it was something that we decided to do. And it was a great way for us to kind of clear our heads and be
Mhm.
ready for the kids. So find those things.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So I think the last thing as we're kind of coming to the close, we want to remember to say to you guys is the work that you do is really important and you matter most. You, hey, you heard that ding. It's a ding of approval.
Right on time.
You, you matter most.
Right.
There is no one that is as strong as you, who is willing to take on the responsibility of all those bright eyes. Now, there's something, Chandra, that you don't get to see, though. These kids have beautiful eyes. I'm about to cry. You're looking at these faces behind masks, but all you see is their eyes. And in some ways, it's kind of beautiful just to see, whether it's their eye color. You still can see individuals. A teacher who said, "Hey, so and so," she named the kid by name. I said, even behind a mask, a teacher knows their kids. You who are choosing to do this, you matter. And we thank you for that. But don't leave it all at the schoolhouse.
That's right.
Don't do it. You matter. You're important. If you know someone who needs to hear this, you need to get this recording and share it with them
Mhm.
because it matters. That's why Chandra and I keep doing this. We know there's not many times in a school year that teachers are told,
That's right.
you matter. We thank you for your work. We thank you for the time you are spending off the clock to make the lesson, to make the activity, to make the students feel at ease, to give that student that doesn't have a notebook, all of that. You matter, and we thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Like you said, G, we don't hear it a lot. And sometimes we get bogged down and we get really frustrated. But every single day, we make a difference.
Hmm.
We make a difference in the lives of kids,
Yeah,
in the lives of families, regardless of what is going on in the world, regardless of what happened that day. You have made a difference. You have made an impact. You might need to play this back to remind yourself about that
that's
in
fine.
a couple of weeks. But
Yes.
I want to encourage you to remember to tell your colleagues that, hey,
Hmm.
sis, you made a difference.
Hmm.
Ah, thank you. You
Hmm.
made a difference.
Hmm.
Tell your school leader, thank you. You're making a difference. You have an impossible job and it's awful.
That's right.
Thank you for doing that job. I'm just saying, having been
Mhm,
an assistant principal, it's a
mhm.
hard job, right? It's
Yes,
a thankless job, much like in some ways teaching is. So we have to remember that, right?
yes.
And encourage and uplift one another as we move forward. What we do matters.
You matter, and you're doing it all around the world in different ways. We're here to thank you. We're here to let you know you matter most. I know you didn't expect that ending. I know it, but it's true. We thank you. We applaud you. We hope you'll join us on Real Talk Real Time Educators Forum on Facebook. Where else can they find us, Chandra?
Instagram.
Hey, I'm at Coach G Live on Instagram. What are you, Chandra?
Chandra underscore Joseph Lissette.
We are so happy to be here with you, and we hope you catch us next time from around the world. God bless you, keep you, and have a great year.
Be well, everyone, and we'll see you in the forum.